Audrey, thank you so much for giving us a little bit of your time today. Playing the role of Laudine in Arthur and Merlin, Knights of Camelot, coming out on July the 13th. I'd imagine it's a blast for any actor to take part in a period piece where the world around you is built up to this level.
Yes, and thank you, Brandon, for having me here. It's just such a pleasure. And yes, indeed, it's a blast to have been part of this amazing production. We were on set surrounded by forests and castles, and it was really exciting. And the entire cast and crew was so nice and so talented. And the director, Joe Alderson, is brilliant to work with. So it's been an amazing opportunity, and I cannot wait for everyone to see it soon.
You originally moved to London back in 2014. What did your experiences in the French industry of movie making consist of?
So when I started in France, I actually started with theatre, and then I did a bit of TV. But I was actually juggling with my studies in France with the university and drama school. So my acting career in France was pretty short, and I really started once I moved to London, actually.
Very cool. Now, what's the biggest difference that you saw between when you started in France and then when you made your way into London? What was the biggest difference between the two?
I think the amount of opportunities, I've had more opportunities when I moved to London than I had in Paris. And I think that was a game changer. So that's why I never came back. So far, I'm really, I'm hoping to maybe one day do some movies in France, but I'm really happy in England at the moment.
Audrey Leverett gets to be taking part in Knights of Camelot, Arthur and Merlin, coming out on July the 13th. It's going to be an exciting film for us all to check out because when we look at the scale of it, and you guys were shooting inside of a castle, had you ever shot inside of a castle before?
I did, actually. I did when I was a couple of years ago when I was playing Mary, Queen of Scots in Elizabeth I for British TV. It was an amazing experience, and it was during winter, so it was really cold. But thankfully, I was wearing those real corset and real proper dresses, so I was actually warm.
I'm glad you brought up that movie, Elizabeth I. What stands out to you about that particular project when you look back on portraying Mary, Queen of Scots?
I think, well, first of all, it was my very first TV work in London when I arrived. And I remember when I received the news, I was at the restaurant with my best friends, and I started shaking so much that she thought that someone has just died. And I think when I just look back at it, I was just so excited about everything. I wanted to know everything about Mary, Queen of Scots. I wanted to make sure I got the accent right. I wanted to meet everybody on set. And yes, and it was just a lot of excitement. And yeah, it's genuine pleasure just to remember this time.
You do so much in addition to just the acting that most actors and actresses will do. You also take part in stunt work, on-set fighting, the special effects where they'll put you on a wire and pull you up in the air, which that takes a lot of training. What did you do to prepare for all that? What did the training consist of for that?
So I started stage combat by luck, actually. It was like 3 or 4 years ago, I think. I was still kind of trying to search for something I would be passionate about to add on my skill set. And one of my friend was asked me if I would do this sword and shield class with her. And then I just loved it, and I never stopped since. So I've been, for the last, I think, 3 years, I've been doing intense different weapons. So sword and shield, knife, unarmed, rapier and dagger, swashbuckling, every type of sword and knife you can think of, um, for the last 3 years. And it's a lot of, obviously, stage combat, you have to look like the part, you have to look like you can hold a sword, but it's also a lot about teamwork, learning a choreography, safety, and make sure you give the best fight ever and know how to sell it to the camera and the audience, so it's it's very believable for them.
Audrey Leverett is on the line with us right now. Arthur and Merlin, Knights of Camelot, coming out on July the 13th. We spoke with a couple of your castmates from this movie a little bit last week, and they had mentioned that there was a lot of rain during this shoot, so whether you were in the castle, you were still going to get wet with a little bit of flooding, or if you were outside of the castle, you'd be in a tent all huddled around each other. What do you remember about the process, and does the rain live up to what we've heard so far?
Yes, it was raining all the time. I mean, I think it's going to look amazing on the picture. I think it really brought something to the movie to have all this rain. I remember the costume designer. She was so lovely. She was wrapping our feet in a cling film, so our feet would not get too wet. It would not like be frozen. But I remember one of my big stunts was happening in the forest while the rain was happening, and we were just like so wet and so tired. But it was very exciting. At some point we had to stop for like a bit because it was too much, so we could have slipped and hurt each other and would have been a bit dangerous. But yes, no, it was raining a lot.
When we talk about that movie, if you were to give your final elevator pitch to get viewers over to watch Knights of Camelot, what would you tell them to get them to go over and check out the movie?
Well, this is a very fresh approach to a story we all know and love, and there are a lot of very strong female characters, which I am passionate about. And there is action, there is magic, there are a lot of fights, and it's just brilliant. It's a story about home, love, friendship, and honor, and I am really excited to share it with everybody.
All right, we're coming down to the final couple questions of the interview. I like to call this the Final Five. The first question of the Final Five, who is your biggest inspiration?
Jennifer Aniston.
Oh, yeah?
Yes, I love her career. I find it fascinating. I mean, she went from comedy to doing drama, everything in her career. I'm just like, wow, and I really like her craft, and I also admire her as a woman, like, because I don't really follow all gossips and stuff, but I know she's probably been through a lot of terrible things with divorce and stuff, and she still managed to carry her career forward, and I find that admirable, and so that's why I really admire her.
At one point, I was in when I was in Los Angeles on just like a back alleyway. I didn't realize we were walking past Jimmy Kimmel Live, and Jennifer Aniston was getting ready to walk into the building as we were walking past the building, and there was just this group of people around her just following her. She had like this aura of people, like she was Saturn, and there was 37 moons going around her, or however many moons. It was just interesting to see she still carries that level of attention wherever she goes. You know, this many years into her career, which is great.
Yeah, no, it's amazing.
Which role were you forced to grow the most for as an actor in your career thus far? Like, which one challenged you to grow?
I think the one that actually challenged me to grow, all of them, but I think it was this Second World War movie that was released in March, where I played the lead actress, called We Go In at Dawn. First of all, because it was the very first time I was the lead actress in a feature film, so it was challenging to have that many days on set and to like hold a movie with the main actor as well. But also, it was very personal. The character was a resistant, and I had a resistant in my family, so it was very interesting to call my grandmother and be like, okay, can I have information, like, is there anything I can know so I can build a background and everything? So that all that thing. And also, I'm one of those actors who I will never arrive on set and not know my lines. So even if I have 200 pages, I will know my lines. So I had a lot of lines to learn. So I spent weeks before being like, okay, I need to know my lines. And yes, all the emotional preparation, there's some stunt in it as well. So I saw my teachers to make sure I could do the thing right. And
All right, third question of the Final Five. Where do you most want to visit on a holiday?
Scandinavia. So I've been to Iceland recently because my partner is Icelandic. He's also an actor who is also in the Knights of Camelot. And I just fell in love with Iceland. It's just beautiful. The landscape is amazing. The mentality, they're always so happy and positive. It's just incredible. And I think since I was like, I just want to go to all the countries of Scandinavia and see the Northern Lights from all those countries. That would be amazing.
When did you know that you wanted to pursue entertainment?
So I was 9 years old, and I was leaving the cinema after watching Lord of the Rings: The Two Towers. If we were in the building, I could tell you exactly where in the building I made the decision. Like, I remember, it's very clear in my mind, and he never left me since. And now that I watched a movie quite recently, and I realized the amount of stage combat in this movie.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God, maybe my little self was like and winking at me like, hey girl, you're gonna be doing lots of sword fighting one day as well.
And the final question we have for you, how do you define success?
It's a big question. I think it's a very personal answer for everybody. For me, I think being successful and success would be to make a living out of acting and just live with that and be happy and proud of my achievements and be surrounded by my friends and family.
All right, Audrey, thank you so much. We appreciate you giving us a little bit of your time today and talking about your movies and your careers and your stage fighting, which is so exciting. And we look forward to talking to you again soon.
Thank you.